Hi, I think we're successfully live at the moment. Hi, everyone. So,
Hello.
oh, great, it's working. It's flicking between you and I,
Oh,
Lana. So,
fantastic. Welcome to everybody who has joined us live today on the 7th of July. And welcome to everybody who's joining us from the future as well. My name is Lana Wheel. I am the program coordinator at Atto. And I'm so excited today to interview Kate Kendall about the Atto Accelerator. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land of which we meet today. And I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past, present, and future. We are on the land of the Wurundjeri people, and we would really like to acknowledge them today. So kia ora to everybody as well. I think we have some friends in New Zealand, some Kiwi friends. I'm so glad that they are joining us as well. So I just wanted to share a little bit about Kate before we dive into the questions. So Kate is a serial entrepreneur. I've kind of lost count about how many companies she has started. One of the most amazing ones is Cloud Peeps, for sure. She's got over 20,000 customers in 150 countries, and it's a platform to search and hire the best professional talent. No doubt Kate might mention a few more businesses that she started as well, but there is a really great podcast that she's been on recently, the Startup Playbook podcast. So if you do want to learn more about Kate, I highly recommend listening to that episode. And today we're going to be talking about the Atto Accelerator, a 12-week program for female founders to build tech businesses. And Kate has been a pioneer of the indie way. So it's building a business in a way that really aligns to your values, kind of the slow and steady build rather than the exponential growth that a lot of startups are expected to have, especially the ones that are VC backed. So we encourage founders to fund their business in a way that suits them and their lifestyles. And that includes searching for alternative paths of funding as well, which could be grants or angel investments or just bootstrapping by yourself as well. So let's kick into it. Kate, what is Atto? And could you share a little bit about why you created the program as well?
okay, amazing. Thanks so much for the intro, Lana. And actually, this is my first YouTube live or live on any platform. So, we were joking before that we might become like gaming live streamers after this. Will be pros. But so Atto was started in 2019. So as Lana was mentioning, I worked on a bunch of different companies, different types of funding pathways, from bootstrapping to grant funding based to angel backed. And it was really through that experience that I noticed there was this really slim definition of how you go about building a tech startup. And it was at the time that you're based in Silicon Valley, you go and raise money, as much money as possible from the leading VCs, the best VCs you can. You burn that money as fast as possible in the aid of growth at all costs model, and acquiring a customers as fast as possible in often unprofitable unit economic dynamics. And then you also, you have to be in person there, and everyone works in person, and you work 24/7. And I've also in the past encountered like an unfriendly way to having a family and having kids. And so I was just realizing, if I'm going to do this for 10, 20 years of my life, it's not a great way to survive, and it's felt like I was being on a hamster wheel. So it was never my intention to kind of go and start a accelerator for female founders or get into the indie way movement, but it was more about, okay, there needs to be a different way. And then I started chatting with a bunch of different people in those pathways that had created a scalable, successful tech company on their own terms. And then that's how it started to go, okay, we need to kind of do this and educate people when they're starting out in their journeys, so they don't get fed the doctrine that I kind of got fed, which is there's only one way to be successful. And so that's a long-winded way of saying why Atto came about, and why we're super passionate about helping the next generation of female founders, or female founders that already have a company but want to scale it further, through Atto. And the original program was our 12-week intensive program, the Accelerator, and we've recently started to host a bunch of masterclasses as part of our academy program too, which is incredible. So really, really amazing community, amazing educators, and super excited about what we've got planned from here on in as well.
Okay, thanks, Kate. And I love the Atto way, clearly. And I was really interested in you being virtual from day one as well. So it's been running for a couple of years now, and we're in the third iteration. So we're currently looking for the third cohort of female founders who would like to build tech businesses in the indie way. So maybe could you tell us a bit more about the Atto program itself? So 12 weeks, what happens during that program, that time? What do people learn about? What happens?
Yeah, exactly. So we were remote first. So this was back when I think there was only like Techstars Remote Accelerator. And part of the reason for going remote was for flexibility. So at the time I was pregnant with my first child, and I also had started to move to regional Victoria in Australia. And so I was like, well, I can't even attend startup events anymore. Most of them are at evenings over booze and at these kind of in locations I can't get to. So Atto was started with the premise of we want to be really flexible for people so they can attend for wherever they are in the world and create a tech startup and not have to be based in Silicon Valley or Melbourne or Sydney or any kind of major region, and also that they can do it on a flexible schedule. So when they come to Atto, the accelerator, they've really either got 2 points. They've got a brand new idea that they might be thinking of building, but have no idea how to even get started. So it's like they've got an idea for a mobile app or a marketplace site or an e-commerce business or a variety of different industries. And then they're like, how do I actually prototype that without going and dropping like $50,000 or $100,000 on a dev shop, a developer agency to build a minimum viable product and to test it with customers. So first of all, there's that scenario. And secondly, we also deal with a founder who might have been working on their business for a while. This might be 2 or 3 years old. And then they really want to kind of make it a tech-enabled business. So either way, they're working with a brand new idea or a part of their business that they want to innovate and scale. But then they'll start to learn a little bit more about how to test that idea, that premise, that hypothesis with customers. And so they'll start to work with that prototype and test it and do validation. And then after that, they'll start to look at core functionality and features that they can build to create that MVP. And then from there, they can start to look at like profitable business models and testing out revenue models early on. So you don't get, 5 years into your company and realize that you're not making any money and you have to be addicted to venture capital. So that happens. And then there's a lot of coaching throughout as well. The educators are incredible. And then at the end, it finishes with a demo day with some of Australia's and now international angel investors that attend, as well as the community. And it's a great idea to get in front of investors and practice. So that's the program in a nutshell. And we also have an amazing community. There's a peer community, accountability driven community of female founders that are going along in it alongside you. So you also benefit from those like lifelong relationships that are formed.
Fantastic. That is a big overview of a big program. Thanks heaps, Kate. I really love that it starts with the basics as well, with the customer validation, customer research, and then getting straight into it, building your MVP so you can start testing and hopefully get revenue, hopefully get some feedback as well so you can iterate as you go along. As we know, a startup isn't about solving, it's about solving a really big problem, not with one particular solution, because it's always going to be evolving and you'll always be adding features. So it's always best to get out an MVP, a minimum viable product. If we haven't said that already, apologies. That's another startup term that we tend to use quite often. And then I also love that it finishes with a big demo day as well. So we can celebrate your success publicly about what you've created so far, and then where you want to take your startup as well. So just based on those milestones, Kate, could you tell us a bit more about what founders can expect to achieve by the end of the 12 weeks?
Yeah, definitely. And one quick point to note about differentiation of Atto is that it's not all about pitching. So even though we do have the demo day, it's not just about like asking for money and creating a great deck. It's about really kind of working on your business, which I think is really important, because no amount of money that you raise can actually solve some of the problems that you need to figure out in product market fit when you're starting out. So really what they can expect to achieve is that it's kind of like, I always say clarity, focus and action. So a lot of time when you have a founder who's got a lot of ideas or they've kind of know what they want to build, but there's no clear pathway to do that, Atto can really help just with breaking down those steps into small, tiny actions. And actually that's where Atto comes from. So for the metric people among us who know like centi, milli, nano, micro. Atto is a super small metric unit. That's why I called it Atto, because a lot of wins actually happen through tiny, tiny steps and tiny amount of resources. And that's how you can go on to create an incredible company. So that's all about Atto. It's about, let's break this down. What is the actual thing you need to do? What can you say no to? What's not important? And really kind of come out of the program with an MVP or some sort of prototype that's been validated with customers, revenue models that have been tested, and then go on to launch your startup or launch the next out of beta or beta, depending where you are in the world.
It's amazing, Kate. Thanks heaps for that point as well. So it sounds like we cover a lot in the program, right? It's a very, 12 weeks. There's masterclass every week. There's coaching. There's a lot going on. And you're all about the small steps as well. So can you share some more about the success stories that we've had for the founders who have come through the program already?
Yeah, so there's a few founders that really kind of keep in mind. I mean, I love all of the companies. That's why we pick them. I really believe in every single founder and every single company that comes through Atto. I think they have incredible potential. So they're like my little babies. But one batch from the first batch was actually Aerobe. So Hannon from Aerobe created an incredible circular economy marketplace for fashion, luxury fashion, and came to Atto in March 2019 with an idea to kind of establish that marketplace, and initially prototyped it on ShareTribe, which is a great no-code tool that you can use to test out a marketplace idea you may have. And then from there was able to get to revenue within the program, really acquired customers through Instagram, and then graduated, got into a later stage accelerator program, StartMate in Australia, and then went on to raise a seed round angel funding of around, I think, 1.2 to 1.5 million. So that was where she really started with, she was working somewhere else, had this idea, and then was able to really, really grow it. And it's incredible what they're doing now. Secondly, in the latest batch, we had Bubble Tea Club, which we'll be hearing from in another AMA next week. But Jenny and Pam were just incredible, infectious energy of what they were building. They started out selling bubble tea kits online because of COVID. And really, most of the tech industry would probably say, oh, that's a great business, you're selling tea online, and not really understand the capability. But as soon as they came, we were looking at subscription products, thinking about how big they could get, akin to companies like the Dollar Shave Club in US that has just become a $1 billion company. And then went through the program, trialed, really kind of changed their mindset about how big their company could be, and then did an alt funding round, a capital raise using equity crowdfunding on Virtual platform, and then recently raised, I think, 1.6 million Australian dollars to take their company to the next level. So that's not kind of using traditional tech investment funds, but it is mobilizing their community of tens of thousands of customers now to help them build their next level company. So those two examples, I just personally super excited by, and see how much progress they've made to date as well.
Amazing. One more I might just mention is websites as well. So this was an existing platform where you can go and sign up and plan everything for your wedding, pretty much, an all-in-one wedding platform. So it was existing before Atto, and Ayla, who did the program last year, she came through, learned a few things, and now has reached profitability in her business as well, and is expanding globally as well. So not all of the success stories are the ones who have raised millions of dollars. There are some that have, reached profitability and have a successful, sustainable business too. So we've mentioned things like marketplaces, direct to consumer, education, and we are really interested in topics around women's health as well, parenting and children, because we know these kind of topics haven't had more of an emphasis in the startup world. So we do want to support more of those ideas, especially as well as things like beauty and wellness, productivity tools, and the future of work as well. So if anybody does have those ideas, we would love to get your applications as well.
Yeah, because Lana, last batch we had a pelvic floor trainer. Most of the kind of traditional tech community would be like, what is even a pelvic floor trainer? So I think that's why we've got that perspective as well. We're actually backing products that we believe in and would use ourselves.
That's a very
well,
good
I
food.
would, because I've had 2 kids.
And I might one day, yeah. So on these amazing founders who have a wide range of experience, and they have a wide range of business models and business areas as well. And you can always check out the startups on the Atto website, atto.vc/startups as well. We have a directory there which shows their industries and things as well. But we were wondering if you could share, Kate, a bit about why do you think these founders were so successful after the program or going through the program?
Yes, so I think that in order to go through an accelerator program, you need to have the mental space to really work on your business. So I think yes, we are super flexible, but I also think that you need at least, like, say, a few hours a week, ideally more than 5 to 10, to really deep dive into your company and give it that focus and that energy and effort to take it to the next level. So I think all of the companies that were mentioned they had a little bit of time that they could really go at it with their companies. And I think they were really kind of open to iterating. So one of the stories that Lana shared with websites, that happened during COVID. So you think about how the wedding industry has been completely disrupted because of COVID, so many cancellations. So Isla really needed to pivot fast to reinvent her business and go virtual with weddings and all that kind of stuff. So you need to be kind of flexible in your mindset as well to do what it takes. And also you might start out with one idea where you're like, this is what I'm going to build, this is how it's going to be. But through customer validation and also testing revenue, realize that's completely the wrong idea to work on. And we've actually had a couple of founders that have gone through the program and realized, oh, actually, maybe this isn't the best idea for me, or this isn't truly scalable. But that's fantastic, because you've not gone and actually spent like 5 years working on something that wasn't going to scale because you didn't validate it, or you've spent $50,000 to $100,000 building a product with an agency and it's not really got legs. So there's quite a few different ways to be successful in the program. But I think with them, it was really about that velocity. So I also use that word a bit through the program. How can you make the right step at the right time to increase your velocity so you can move your company forward and get that traction? And all of those founders were able to do that. So it was a pleasure to work with them.
Amazing. Yes, Websites is a very, very inspiring platform, and Isla is a very amazing founder as well. So it seems like the founders are keen to make the most of the opportunity as well. They're kind of coachable or ready to learn and ready to adjust as well. So I think in the startup world, we talk about solving a big problem and not being stuck on the one solution as well. So I think that's really important to outline, because you might come in with an idea of, I want to build a platform exactly like this, but then you need to prove that you do need to build that platform and start small first, of course, as well. So how do we apply? How do founders get involved with the program? What's involved with the application process, Kate? And I know there's a video component as well. So I was wondering if you could touch on that and any tips you have for founders there.
Yeah, so the application process, so we take applications on a rolling basis over usually a 30-day period. And so I encourage people to apply early. The application form is quite straightforward. It's not long form answers. You can probably go in and complete that within half an hour. And then the video component is a 2-minute video where you just jump in front of YouTube or Zoom or Loom or anything like that, and introduce yourself, what you're working on, why you're passionate about it, how's it different in the market, and what you would like Atto's help with. And then we review all of that information, and then from there I'd also recommend checking out all the site and different testimonials, talking to potentially our alumni, our graduates of the program, so you can get their feedback as well on how to make the most of Atto, how to apply successfully. But really, there is no wrong or right way to apply with your company. We often will look at the founder and their passion, and even if the company might not be something that is, we think, oh, it's going to be $1 billion company. It's about, the kind of energy of that founder and that passion. So don't be afraid to follow up. Don't be afraid to, take initiative. All of those things are fantastic qualities as a founder. So you can also schedule a call with me, which I'll pass out the link at the end. Email Lana and myself tweeters or anything like that. So any kind of initiative and energy momentum is always a good sign for people who really want to go through the program.
Yes, we are on all of the social medias. We regularly post on Facebook groups, and we are available through our website, or you can email us at hello@atto.vc anytime as well. We are definitely keen to meet founders as they apply or before you apply, if you'd like to check in with us about anything before you submit your application. And I just wanted to touch on, I actually had to provide a video application for this role, and I was very nervous about it. I almost didn't want to apply because it was a video application, and I thought, why are you judging me on your video? But it is important to know that you can speak, you can present your ideas, and you can articulate why you want to join or why you want to work on your idea as well. So I think I find that useful just to share. I avoided it for a while, but then I knew it would be worth it in the end.
And it doesn't have to be, all staged. It can be shot on your mobile phone very, very casually. So don't get too caught up in the video production quality. Anything is fine.
Very good point, Kate. Just do it on your phone. Just get it done. Done is better than perfect. That's another phrase we come back to a lot as well. So we had a few questions about, do you have to have an existing business to start? And we have had some in the portfolio who have had an existing business. Some have been halfway through working through their idea. Some just knew they wanted to work on a problem. Could you expand on that, Kate? What stage do you need to be at to apply?
I think that the best businesses are probably less than 5 years old if there is an existing company that someone has been working on. You can, of course, come with just an idea and just something, even an industry, not even an idea, but an industry that you want to kind of create a product to solve a problem in. We are very early stage. We're almost like the first stage that you can come to as well for any kind of startup education. So that stage is great if you are thinking about pivoting your business, or you've kind of got an existing business that you've learned a lot or want to solve a new problem within. That's great too. So yes, it's not just for first-time founders. You can be a serial founder as well, but want to come through and have the accountability and structure of the accelerator program to really take that idea or that product feature to the next level.
Amazing. And another question we get about joining Atto is when someone has a full-time job or a part-time job and they're wondering what the commitment is and can they do this on the side as they're trying to launch their side hustle? What do you say to those people who have a full-time job, Kate?
Yeah, so I think that it is possible to go through Atto, and that's one of the things because it is virtual and flexible, and the program is actually mostly scheduled on the contact hours are on lunchtime on a Wednesday. In Australian Eastern Standard Time at the moment. So that's, if you can kind of have a lunch and you've got an employer that might be flexible enough to let you jump on a Zoom or take your lunch on a Zoom call instead, that can work. If you've got a very strict employer that you are not allowed to be working on a startup or be talking about a startup or appear to be doing anything outside of work, it will be hard to grow your company, because part of being a founder is being able to talk about your company, promote your company. If there's press opportunities and things available, ideally you have to be public with that. So there is the balance of, you can be, of course, working full-time, part-time, be a small business owner, running a consultancy, all of that stuff as you go through Atto. But I think you need a few hours a week to not only attend the live classes, but also then additional to really work on your startup and take it to next level, and participate in the community and things like that and ask questions. So if you have a little bit of flexibility, you'll be fine. That's enough to get through.
Yes, definitely don't want to minimize the fact that if you are working full time and agreeing to start a side hustle and agreeing to do a program at the same time, that your schedule will be full. It definitely will be full. Yeah. But if you're committed and you're willing, it's possible for sure.
So just one more thing to add, sorry, is you've got to be in the right head frame as well. So I think the founders that have that ability to focus, they're not going through any major life changes, because there's two types. There's people who get, if there's a major life change, it's great to start something new and take it on board. Or there's people that just get completely overwhelmed because they're going through a major life change. So I would participate in Atto when you have the foundation to really thrive, and you've not got too much going on with big moves or personal situation changing and job changes and all that kind of stuff as well.
Very good point, Kate. Very, very good point. We just had a really great question that I want to bring up as well. How do you define a tech-based business?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something that is the whole ethos of Atto. So it's I view it as what kind of Y Combinator started with talking about tech businesses, and is that they are scalable and they aren't a human intensive to scale. So they have the capacity to be automated by technology. So if you've got an idea, say you're a physiotherapist, and you have a website that makes your business easier to book yourself, and you're kind of selling your time and services, that to me is not a tech startup. But if you created a marketplace full of allied health or physiotherapists that was Australia wide, or you went global, that is a tech enabled business. So it's the same kind of area, but it's solving it in a different way. So for me, it needs to be about, can it scale? Is it not, a personal services based business, because that's not quite the right fit. If you're someone like a photographer and you are scaling your business, that's not the right fit. But if you're, again, creating a marketplace for people to book and find photographers, or making a piece of software that makes photo editing easier, that is a tech startup. So it is different from small businesses in that they can be rapidly scaled once product market fit is achieved.
Amazing. And on the frequently asked questions on our website, atto.vc/FAQs, we outline what kind of businesses fit really well with the Atto program as well, which are marketplaces, software as a service, business to business, direct to consumer or e-commerce businesses, and education businesses as well. So that's not to say we only accept those ones. It's just that those ones fit really well for this type of program as well.
And so again, Lana, it's just that's part of people coming to Atto. We help educate on what a tech startup is as well. That's the whole point. So that's why I think there's so much a potential with women entrepreneurs. They're already running amazing consultancies, service-based businesses, have been the majority of small business owners to date. But it's about reframing that mindset to see, okay, you've done that business really well, but now you can actually do a tech-enabled business and scale and capture more value and wealth in the long term.
Fantastic. That's very good clarification, Kate. And I do know a few female founders who've joined startup programs, not really knowing what a startup is beforehand as well, but they knew that they needed technology to support scale within their business as well. So I love that we do cover that topic in the first few weeks as well. So we've seen LaunchVic aligned with the Atto brand as well. And I was wondering if you could expand on how LaunchVic are involved.
Yeah, so if we get people that discover us through our partnership with LaunchVic. So for those who aren't familiar, LaunchVic is the Victorian government in Australia's startup funding arm. And LaunchVic, we're partnered with, is on our first accelerator back in 2019 as a prototype, and then have now funded a further 4 cohorts that are open to Victorian founders, and we also accept founders from elsewhere. So it's been really great to have that support, and that also involves quite strict accountability and protocols on our behalf, which shows that this isn't just some sort of I'm just running a course. It's not got to be accountable. It means that we're very serious about success and making sure that we deliver, and that people are creating incredible long-term companies. So it's a great stamp of approval in a way.
Amazing. And we've got a question now about what's required of joining the program as well, because there's other startup programs that take equity or give funding, which Atto does not do. So could you expand on the scholarships available and how that works?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of startup accelerators are funded through equity, and that is a fantastic approach. And I think later stage accelerator programs are great if they're giving you funding and taking equity. But the challenge, if you're just starting out and you don't even have an idea, is A, you wouldn't even get into those programs because you wouldn't have enough traction to get into the programs. And B, you might think, oh, I never want to raise money anyway. So now I've given up a piece of my company to these investors that forever I have to report to when I don't want to. So by not taking equity, it aligns with the indie way ethos. It's not about being tight, not giving funding. It's about giving you the freedom and flexibility long term. Because the other challenge is, if you give away too much equity at the start in these other startup accelerator programs, when you actually become successful and then go and raise further funding, investors might turn you down because your cap table, which is your capitalization table of stock, has already been given away too much. So it's not enticing enough to attract really great investors. So that's why it's equity-free program. And then we also offer scholarships. So if you are any of our scholarship criterion, there's merit-based and needs-based scholarships, which you can find on atto.vc/scholarships. We welcome people to apply for those as well. So check it out and submit an application along with your accelerator application as well.
Yes, I would say even if you're on the fence and you think maybe I'd like to do the program, apply anyway. And if you don't want to do the program later, you can always not do it. You are not fully committed, even if you just apply as well. So might as well throw your head in the ring and give it a try. I'm going to ask a bit of a juicy question here. We've got a question from the crowd about your number one piece of advice for female founders trying to break through a male dominant ecosystem. And there are a lot of programs for women. And why are these important, Kate?
Yeah, so I think there's two approaches to my response here, in that I think, first of all, we have to change the ecosystem, which is why Atto was even started, because I've been the only woman at the table or the only woman at meetups. And I think that that's not really making long-term change either. Or if you go through a startup program that is only all behind the scenes, it's all men who are actually getting their equity, you're not creating like that kind of follow-on effect for economic empowerment and wealth for other women. So I think it's good to even change the industry to start out with. But then there's also a lot of programs where what I say is a bunch of women go sit in the corner and kind of talk about the industry, but they don't really, go into the industry and work with what is existing. So I think you actually need to work with these existing players and work with obviously men to make real change, but then also make sure that you're getting a seat at the table from an economic empowerment perspective. So that's where Atto, we do have some male educators. We will talk about success stories from a variety of factors. It's not just women only, but it is the program is women only, but we really want to kind of have men and allies help change the future, so you can kind of make a bunch of change, real change, long-term change. And that's even why I say new school. The new school, because it is new school. I'm sick of the old school way for working. We've got to make the change now, and we don't need permission to do that. So let's do it.
Oh, yeah, that's a tweetable right there. So we've come back to the end of the session today. I just wanted to point out Kate is available for appointments if you do want to chat about the Atto program with her directly. You can check out the alumni startups at atto.vcs/startups. And everything about the program is online at atto.vc. And then, as we said before, feel free to reach out. We are clearly very approachable. I hope anyway that you think so from this chat. And we would love to chat with you about your idea and potentially joining the program too. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with, Kate?
No, I just think do it. This is the great time to make it happen. I think if you're at home, a lot of things are virtual because of COVID at the moment. It's a really fantastic time. And, even if you're kind of starting out and you think, oh, maybe apply next year or the year after, you can do it now. It's just about taking that first step. So I'm really looking forward to the next batch. You could be in it, and by the end of November, December, you could be pitching your startup and going on, quitting your job and all sorts of stuff. So take that next step, and we really believe in you. So do it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for everyone for joining us today, and we hope to see your application soon.